Good evening, guys. It's another episode. It's about the 800th million. It feels like that. I've dropped the clutch. I'm joined with Ruth. I'm joined with Dylan, the usual co-host. And today we've got a very special guest joining us in the promoter of Birmingham Speedway. Guys, give it up for Nigel Tolley.
Thanks, good to be on. Good to be on. First of all, may I apologise, as I have done just off air, for the background. Normally I go on Zoom and I've got a lovely video of the stadium, but that's hence the green background for Zoom. So it looks a bit scuffy behind, so I apologise.
No, that's absolutely fine.
I'm just not in my bedroom. I'm just sat in my bedroom at home.
I could do what you've done, actually. Put up a...
Quick little bit of rearranging the furniture.
I've got race jackets lying around all over the place.
Nice.
I'll leave it at that one.
Speedway fans.
So,
Right.
my first question for you, Nigel, is obviously the Brummies have had a tough start to the season so far.
Thanks to Scunthorpe.
Well, I wasn't going to mention that.
It can't be thanks to anybody else, can it? Really? Apart from Redcar once.
I mean, we've waited 2 years for an away win. You've got to let us have two at least. But for big concerns, obviously watching on BSN last night was down at reserve. Now, obviously, when this goes out, obviously all the news will be out. But Scunthorpe has actually released today Joe Thompson. If you was to make changes, would he be a potential option for you?
Well, he could be. He could be, obviously. He was second highest scorer last night. But on the other hand, he didn't score anything for us the last time he was at Perry Barr. So we've got to wait and see on that. I mean, all I would say is that we've got to be prepared to make changes during the season. And we've got to wait and see what happens on that. And there's lots in the background, so that we do keep as strong as possible. And we've got to see how things go. With James Wright at the moment, we're unsure about his health. Now that the new rules are that you can only have guests for 28 days, we've got to make sure that he is fit to come back after that 28 days, because in his position, rider replacement I don't think would work. So we've got to keep a close eye on that. There's lots of different permutations, and we've just got to see how things go over these next few weeks.
And just touching on the changes there, it's difficult to kind of find where to do it, because the meetings you've had so far mean nothing for the averages. So is it like, do you wait until the end of May to look and see, because you'd expect Nick to possibly drop a bit, but then you've got Alfie who scored what he scored last night. Like, he'd have had a decent average if that counted. Like, it's a juggling act as to whether you do it now and like jump at it, or whether you wait and see what happens, I suppose.
I know that all the riders are frustrated because they haven't all hit form, and that will come. I'm certain that will come, and one of these days they're all going to hit form at the same time. I mean, one of the things we've done, which has aggravated the situation, is that we've changed the track. And for the first time, the track is being tyre packed with the new flatbed that we've got, with the water that's used for watering the track at the same time, and that really is packing the track hard. It's making a superb track, but certainly the week before last, it did catch our riders by surprise a little bit, and of course they've got to adjust all their setups for that. And I think there were signs last night that they were going to get used to that. And when they have got used to it, you'll see a completely different team. Obviously, that doesn't apply away. And obviously, visiting the Scunthorpe track quite regularly. That's a completely different kettle of fish, completely different track. You know, and sometimes I think at Perry Barr that we try and hit perfection with the track. We certainly are at the moment, and I'm working with John on the track. And we are really going for perfection, and maybe that's not the right attitude. Maybe we should be working more on a track that's got more of a home advantage. But to get that home advantage, obviously, our lads have got to get used to that home advantage as well.
Yeah.
But the way the track is at the moment, it took our lads a little bit by surprise last week. But the away team seemed to get on with it. But I think it showed that certainly with Alfie last night. The riders are getting used to it. Sedgy is starting to get used to it, I think. I think he found it a bit tough the week before. And there's still various problems. Ty has been ill for the last 10 days. And to be quite honest, he was looking doubtful on Monday whether he'd be riding last night. He'd got no strength at all last night. It's left him absolutely drained. He's getting over it now. A very severe bug he had. He's getting over it now, but he had got no strength really last night at all. Old baby James, he when he smashed his bike up last night, he came out on his second ride, and obviously he's looking a lot better on that. There's still a lot of settling down of the riders yet, but we can't leave it too long. We can't, because we can't say, well, by mid-season all of our problems will be sorted out, and that's when they'll hit form, because by that time it may mean that we're not going to get into the playoffs.
And you talk about the new track. Bomber was saying on commentary last night it looked like it needed a bit more dirt around the outside. Is that something that's in the plans for that, or are you just going to leave it to bed in how it is for now?
No, there is more. John's going to be working. It's the ideal opportunity next Wednesday, when we haven't got a meeting, for John and Alan to work on the track, and I should be up there as well, and we should be working on the track. There's more clay and more shell going on. You've got to remember, until last season there was no clay in the shell that was used, and I spent some considerable time in the winter getting hold of clay. Found a superb source in the end down south, and we've put so far, I think, 3 tons on the track, 3 tons of pure clay on the track. That's made a vast difference. It really has. But there's more clay to go on this week, and there's more shell to go on this week. I can understand why Bomber would say that, because Bomber likes getting outside, and he can ride on any track, but he does like deep tracks. So I think that's maybe, I'm quite glad that the Bomber did say that, because it means that next time he rides on it, it won't be the same as he's used to. But it was very slick last night and the week before. We loosened it up a bit for last night, but it still was like tarmac.
And is that just it bedding in for now? Is that just while it kind of all, because you ripped it all up, you've completely relaid it, is it just bedding it in? It's like a completely brand new track to a degree. It
is like a completely brand new track. We actually took off in the winter months. We lowered the outside of the track by about 15 inches, which had the advantage of lowering the air fence then, so spectators could see better from the stands. But yes, so there was about 15 inches that went off. It was completely rebuilt. John and Terry was working on it as well, and they both did a superb job. But that is the major difference now, is that we're packing the track for the first time. I mean, walking around it last night, it was more like a GP track.
Yeah, it looks so smooth at the minute, the way
it's
it's just
smooth.
looking.
It's smooth and hard. To me, it's more like a GP track now because of that packing. I mean, that's exactly what they do on the GP tracks. They pack them in exactly the
Birmingham
same.
for British GP, you heard it here first.
Well, Cardiff last year, I think they were packing for more than they were actually riding on the track. I mean, everybody got to know every spot of that flatbed they were using, every little bit on it, every nut and bolt people browse on end, and that was the reason while they were packing it. But yeah, that's what we're going for. I mean, it is a superb track, and our riders are getting used to it now. So let's see what develops on that one.
So obviously, like we go back to mentioning results not going to plan. Has that had any form of effect on like the team morale and the spirit in the team?
Not just the team, with us as well. I know after last week, I was really down after last week's meeting, and I got up yesterday morning, as all the riders did, think, we've got to get on top of this and we've got to win. And that's what we said to the riders before the meeting. And the riders completely agreed. Yeah, we've got to get a win. Plymouth beat them the night before. We can do it. We can definitely do it. And let's face it, we almost came to beat them. And I think if it hadn't have been for Steph and for Baby James coming off, I think that we would have won. We were heading towards it, and it would have been lovely to have gone up to Scunthorpe with, say, a 4 or a 6 point lead, but it would have boosted our morale terrifically. And I think it did last night. I think everybody was in a better mood after the end of the meeting than they were the week before. I think it boosted it, and the comments on the posts on Facebook today have proved that. It did boost everybody. It boosted us, boosted the riders, and it certainly boosted the supporters, I think. And we've got to carry on doing that. That can't stop.
You touch on the supporters, actually. You're really, really pushing promotion at the minute. You've got the bus things going, and I know, speaking to you the other day, you've also got some other ideas you want to get out there. Is it because the crowd didn't look great last night? Maybe that's the BSN effect, or you can't. The
crowds didn't look good last season, and we knew that we'd got to promote like crazy, market like crazy during the winter months. We didn't want to do it too early though, because everybody would have forgotten by the start of the season. So as you say, at the moment, we've got the advertising on the back of buses. We're aiming to get out 10,000 leaflets a month. We're just about to go to print with the second 10,000. And for the first time ever, I've taken out Facebook adverts with the promotional video that we did. That's on it. I don't know if anybody's seen it. It's gone out to tens of thousands around within a 30-kilometre radius of Perry Barr. And I think there's over 3,000 that have viewed the video.
I've seen a bus advert.
We are getting feedback from that. I mean, I've had feedback today from the leaflets, people delivering the leaflets. I mean, the one I had today was somebody came back to me and said, "Is it only adults? Is it only over 16s that can go in? We've never been to Speedway." And put them right on that one. While I was on the turnstiles last night, a couple came in. They said, "Oh, I didn't realise we've got to bring a pen." I said, "Well, you can go and buy pens just through there." They'd never been to a Speedway match before now. And that's what we've got to work on the next generation. I mean, the generation that we've got at the moment is, shall I say, quite mature, and it's horrible to think, but we've lost quite a few supporters that died during the winter months. And that's the age group that we're talking about. So we've got to get a new generation. If we can't get a new generation in, Speedway in general is finished. It'll be finished at Birmingham. It'll be finished throughout the country. We've got to get that message out about Speedway. There's just too big a percentage of the population of the UK that don't know anything, just haven't got a clue what Speedway is. When we've all got to work on that. You know, it isn't just us. I mean, as I've always said, to me, Brummies is a family. And all the supporters are included in that. And it's up to, we can only do so much. And it's up to the supporters, when you go down the pub, spread the word, tell people about Speedway. I carry on my phone in photographs, and this is a good little trick that you might want to do. Where are we? On photographs. I get out my phone. I don't suppose I should be able to find it now, of course.
Always the way when you're looking for something.
I took a photo of that.
Oh, yeah.
So that if you're in a pub or whatever, you start to speak to somebody about Speedway. I said, here you are. Put your phone up against that. And that takes you to the promotional video.
That's sensible.
The amount of people that have shown that, well, last weekend that 4 people that didn't know anything about Speedway. That they would, but all 4 of them, they're 2 separate couples, were definitely going to a Speedway match this week. That's how much it works. And everybody's got to try their best to get the word out about Speedway. We want to see the days when we used to get 30,000 at Perry Barr at Birmingham.
Well, that's why we do this podcast, isn't it? Just to try and get the word out about Speedway.
Yeah, anything whatsoever. But I think that promotional video is a vital tool. But you know, we've got other things in the pipeline as well. I don't think we've seen at the moment. We haven't got in that many new people. We're losing more than we got in at the moment. I did a new business plan for this year, same as I did last year, and to break even without sponsorship, we've got to have over 1,000 people in there. Well, obviously, as you've probably noticed, we're getting nowhere near 1,000 in there. So all the rest has got to come from sponsorship. My company, 2 hours ago, my company Tolley Badges put another 12,000 into the Brummies bank account. And you know, the way things are going, I should probably be putting that amount in every month.
And I suppose that is the exciting part for the Brummies fans. You are a very successful businessman, so it's like, you know, that it's not all going to happen straight away. It'll be a build-up of things, and you know how to promote, you know how to be, you know, how business works.
Yeah, but it's got to start to show signs of improvement, and everybody's got to get the word out to do it. You know, it doesn't make me sad, I suppose, but it intrigues me, the fact that you go to Wolverhampton and you're getting 1,500 people on average there. You know, 2,000 people sometimes up there. And we're only a stone's throw away, and we're getting a fraction of that. And why is that? Why don't people come to Birmingham? Now all the roadworks are finished. We've got no problems with the roadworks. It's easily accessible. We've got public transport, good public transport now, but we're not getting them in. I mean, I upset Tracy last week. She almost hit me.
Oh no.
Yeah. I won't mention the word matron because she's bound to watch it. But I said to her last week, going back to my Cradley days, we've got Cradley, Wolverhampton, and Coventry, the 3 locals, all in the first division. Now, I can remember going over to Birmingham to watch a meeting, which was in the 2nd division. And I thought, bloody hell, this is like watching the scratch races at Cradley. You know, that was the difference. At that point, Tracy almost hit me. But you know, and I think is that perception still there that the quality of racing isn't at Birmingham. You know, really and truly, the leagues now, Premiership and Championship, are very close. I mean, we've got the same riders. I mean, they're structured slightly differently. And you've got rising stars, but you've got 40-point average for the main 6. So there's not a great, and there's a different structure on the points, obviously the averages. There's not a great deal of difference. You know, look at some teams. How many Premiership riders have they got in the team? So it isn't like it used to be on that, where there was a big difference between first division and second division. But we've got to make people realise that. I mean, 2 people came along that live in my village here, came along last week and the week before. He used to be years ago Cradley Folk. He's getting back into speedway now. He was living over in Gambia for ages. He's come back. He went to Wolverhampton and he's been to Birmingham, and he said, Nigel, it's a lot better at Birmingham than at Wolverhampton. He said, your track's better, your track's a hell of a lot better. I thought that the riding was great, and the grandstand is a hell of a lot better than at Wolverhampton, which it is. I mean, that's a superb grandstand at Perry Barr. I mean, I know you lose to some extent the atmosphere of being out there on the stands and on the terraces, but it is a superb stadium. That can hold 800. The grandstand will hold 800 seated. It's got a lot going for it, but we've just got to get those people in through the gates who really have. But we're not going to give up. We've got a superb team behind the scenes now. Steve's doing a superb job at marketing. It is all pulling together well now. Everything was done in a bit of a rush last year. We were late being accepted into the league, by which time you couldn't get the riders. They'd all signed for other teams, and the planning of the whole season, we got unexpected things all the time, like turn up at the stadium and one of the tractors has broken down yet again because they hadn't been serviced for years. That's why we bought the pickups now to help us. I mean, last night, and this is where we badly need more volunteers up there, and more volunteers to help after the meeting. There was 3 people taking up the sheets and the tyres last night. Without the pickups, we'd have been absolutely lost, because last year we were doing it with Asda trolleys. But there's 3 people. I think we finished at about 1:45, and those 3 people were absolutely knackered. If we could have had 6 there last night, the workload would have been shared. It had been done twice as quick, and everybody would only be half as knackered. So we really do need more volunteers up there to stop after the meeting. And that again is all part of the family. We've got to work together as a team. I'm not like other promoters that don't work as a team. I don't just sit there and thinking, well, I'm the boss and that's it. We are part of a team, and I will listen to everybody to get their views, and that is the way to make it a success. And as I've always said, it's not that it's ever likely to happen anytime soon, but I've always stressed we are a not-for-profit company. We will never, and I promise you this, we will never ever take anything out of Birmingham Speedway. If we did make a profit, it would be ploughed back in. I know a certain person keeps saying, that all promoters take money out of the. I suppose you all know I'm talking about.
I wonder who said person is.
Oh no, we're in about fan power.
Yeah, old fan power. I can
Our
assure
main
you,
fan power.
we don't and we never will take anything out of Birmingham Speedway. It'll all remain in. If we did start making profits, again, it'll be for the benefit of the supporters, because that'll mean a stronger team for the following season. It isn't just points averages that limit a team. It's how much you're paying them to ride. And there's a lot of different equations on that. There's certain people who I would have loved in the team this year. Paco, obviously, and we tried our very best to get Paco back, but he enjoyed his season so much up north last season that he didn't come back. And every time he's guessed it for us at the end of the meeting, I've said to him every time when he's come to shake my hand, I said, "You should be in our team."
Yes.
But that's the way it goes. There's several top names that really wanted to come to us, but they couldn't get out of the commitment of their current teams. And there's certainly one who's absolutely determined to come to us next season. He said,
I have heard the rumour of this one.
Who's this one?
The rumour of this one. Is this the same rider that signed a 2-year contract with his current club last season?
I don't know.
Is it the same rider that's on my hat?
Who's that? Name?
Tom Brennan.
I heard he signed a 2-year contract.
What I was referring to wasn't actually Tom Brennan, but during the close season, we would have loved for him to have joined us. It doesn't live far away from me at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, every team starts off the season with the same points average.
Yes.
And every team looks to riders that can increase their averages. Well, apart from Nick, I suppose, because it's fairly impossible for him to have got a higher average than he's got. But all the others, that was what we were bearing in mind. Right the way through to Baby James. Baby James is trying to get a 6-point average by the end of the season. And I think he could well do that. But it's all taking time. There's still a lot to do, but it's all got to click. It's all got to click all the way around.
And when it does, do you think that'll be the moment? Like you've got a team of potential rather than, Oxford went down a similar route with you, but their tail end's a little bit stronger and they've just clicked and it's working. Like, do you think when it does click, or you need somebody to step up into that third heat leader role?
My theory was to start off with that we would have a team that we could go out and get 5-1s in heat 1 and 2. And that's why we went for 4-point average reserves rather than 2. And it did make our third reserve. We were limited on points for our third heat leader. And if everybody had come in start of the season on form, I'm sure that would have happened. But we've got to see how things move along on that, and so we've got to be prepared to make changes.
You a couple of points back, obviously you mentioned getting the younger generation in. Obviously, I've got a 15-year-old brother who never leaves the house because he's always on like a games console, like a PlayStation or something. Do you feel that if we was be able to make like a Speedway PlayStation game or an Xbox game, do you think that would help spread the word a bit?
Yeah, we've got to be moving. There's a lot of different areas like that we need to be working on. And we've got a guy in last night that was working on the transponders, getting those sorted out. He'd got all sorts of ideas on that. He's an absolute wizard on things like that. I mean, my daughter came to the Speedway for the first time last season, and she came in and she got the program. And what am I going to do? You fill in the program. You fill in a program. What, with a pen? I'm just got an app that goes on it.
Oh no!
This guy last night, he said, "Well, yeah, exactly, and that's what I'm working on." We do neat things like you still have a program, but for anybody that wants it, should be an app there. It'd be so much easier rather than having a pen that doesn't work because you've got shale dust all over the inside of your program and your pen never works. But yeah, we do need things like that, yeah. And also need to they can watch videos on YouTube and all the rest of it as well. And this is the idea. We've got to get out to the public again.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the
And
only
is that
concern. I mean,
is that where the streaming came from as well? You can attract, it's a little bit more income, but you've got video there, like, you can put a race out or something.
Yeah, exactly. And that there are people that can't get to the Speedway. I mean, on our first stream last week, which was the first week, we hadn't really done any advertising on it. We got, I think, approaching 100. 10 of those were from Australia. I mean, they wouldn't have come along to the meeting. There was a lot of rec car supporters. A lot of these streams are from up north. About 70–80% were from up north. I needed to know the location where they were coming from. I think there was 10 from around the local ones, just 10, and we almost know who those are. And it was seriously people that couldn't get up there. So I'm absolutely positive that we didn't lose. It didn't stop people coming to the stadium, because if you're into Speedway, you'll come to the meetings. But if you've got any reason that you can't get to the meeting, it's good to watch it on a stream or watching it the next night. I want to go on there onto BSN from last night and watch the starts and the practice and see if anything did happen to Steph.
Me and Dan have debated this one because Dan's a very Jake Allen supporter, and I work with Steph quite a lot. So me and Dan have had a debate about this one. For me, Jake Allen was a bit too harsh on Steph, which caused him to lock up.
Yeah, did he throttle back?
Yeah, he shut off, locked it back, and then blocked tight.
That's the only thing I could really see that he did shut off. Which
but Jake Allen was trying to take his front wheel for the walk with him. If he hadn't have shut off, Jake Allen had collected him anyway.
Yeah. But we couldn't really see from the pits. I couldn't see anyway from the pits that.
I did. I saw it all unfold. I was on the centre green at the time.
It looked
horrendous.
Yeah. See, I wasn't on the centre green at that time. I was back in the pits. But again, I can look at it now on BSN, and I'll make up my own judgment then after looking at that, which is possible. Transponders are going to make a difference as well.
Yeah, I can't remember what happened, to be honest. I was with my dad. I was getting slightly intoxicated.
Well, nothing wrong with that.
Well, you need it, don't you, with a Speedway?
Yeah.
But, again, we go back obviously to getting the crowds in as well. Do you personally think that the cost of living that we're going through, the crisis, that's affected people as well?
It's bound to. But hopefully it won't affect us that much. We've got to get an increased amount of people in to cover that. It is a worry, obviously. I should have loved to have kept prices the same as last year. But again, that's not possible with everything going up. It just isn't possible. We had to rise prices. I mean, one argument I always use is my local football team, Kidderminster Harriers, which is about, I suppose, in football terms, about the same as Birmingham is in speedway. But you're paying a hell of a lot more to go into a football match.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's usually a lot less entertainment.
Well, exactly, yes, yeah. Well, there isn't, no. I mean, there's nothing like a decent speedway match. There's nothing like the entertainment. It's by far the most entertaining motorsport. I went to the Spanish Grand Prix, Formula One Grand Prix last year with Peter Mole. First time he'd actually been to a Formula One, and he said, "This is boring compared with speedway," which it is. There's nothing. You see the whole race. You don't get bored because it goes on too long. There's nothing more exciting. But we need
This
to go
is
back
why
to the
my
text.
winter fix is ice hockey.
Well, ice hockey, yeah. But I mean, going back to the old days, back to the 70s. Back in the 70s, speedway was the second most popular spectator sport, above cricket. It was above cricket.
Which is boring.
Yeah. Well, yeah, to me, there's nothing more boring. Lawrence wouldn't agree, but there's nothing to me more boring than cricket. Lawrence starts talking to me about what's going on in something in cricket, and is it? I don't know. I'm not into cricket.
I'd rather watch paint dry than go to cricket.
Well, yeah, and I want to be quite honest, it's certainly completely different from speedway. But with
you touch on the feel good family factor. We spoke to Jason Edwards last week, and he actually suggested to us to get you on, and he's noticed what's happening at Birmingham and how hard the promotion are trying. Does that boost you when other riders and other people within the sport can see how hard you're working and are trying to?
Yeah, definitely. And I'm proud to hear people say that as well. We have. I mean, it's continual. It really is. I mean, it's been non-stop today. You don't realise what goes on behind the scenes, really. I mean, Jason's a great guy anyway, and he does appreciate. You can see what's happening at Birmingham, but so we've still got a lot more to do, and we've got to push on with that. I mean, we have got a bit of a name, and this is why. A reason why there are so many riders that want to come to us is it's in the Midlands, and always riders have preferred a Midlands club. We ride on a Wednesday, and there's a lot of riders that want midweek teams. And we have built up a reputation during the last year of paying the riders on time.
Yes.
And I think that makes a big difference as well. Because I know other clubs take forever to pay the riders. We make sure that they get payment basically within 48 hours of the end of a month.
And now you mention people wanting to come. I think I've got the name now of the rider that really wanted to come there. That's just tricked it. Richard Lawson.
No.
Oh, I have heard that one as well.
Josh Pickering, just to throw it out there.
He was quite interested.
I think had Edinburgh not come back, Birmingham would have had Josh Pickering.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
And is it, you've got people in your team at the minute who can trap. Is it riders like Pico, like Bomber, that will bring crowds in, people who will chuck everything on the line, although it's got Pico out for 3 weeks now?
Yeah, well, yes, exactly. I was thinking that a couple of days ago, thinking, well, if we got Pico in the team, he'd be out now for 3 weeks. But everybody's going through the same problems with injury and all the rest of it. And I don't know why. I mean, even before our season started, there was injuries, quite a few injuries, which obviously you don't like to see at all. And then, I mean, James Wright was on terrific form
Yes.
on the night he got his injury down at Plymouth, and he guessed it for us very well last season. Which is such a shame now that he's sidelined. But again, we had Paco last night, and you can never beat Paco. Paco is guaranteed to give his 100% all the time. As I say, I just wish that he'd have been in the team as well. But it's no good looking back now and saying, look what you could have won.
Yeah. And is it that catch-22 with James where he ain't turned a wheel for Birmingham yet, but if it's a longer-term injury than you expect, you've got to progress and get somebody else in? Is it kind of finding that balance now?
The situation is, if James isn't fit at the end of the 28 days, which is soon coming up, I think it's the next home match, we've got to use rider replacement.
Yeah. Because
the guest facility is gone.
It's the same with us at Scunny with Zane. Obviously, well, this will all be out anyway when this podcast goes out. But we've signed Max Clegg as well. There's a replacement for Zane, but yeah, you can't beat having your own rider, though, can you?
No. I mean, there's a chance that Zane would have come to Birmingham. Yeah, and look at the problems we'd have had there. It's a nightmare on things like that. I mean, it certainly keeps Lawrence busy. And we're in the fortunate position that Lawrence, I think, has got the telephone number of every rider in the country.
Ironically, I was talking to Andy, the supporters club bloke, about this the other day. He's trying to get people in for his supporters night, and he messaged Lawrence to see if he had a couple of numbers, and he got back to him with his numbers in an instant. He said he's like a telephone book.
Well, he is. I mean, as I say, he knows every rider in the country. He knows the average of everyone. To me, it's a matter of looking at this every time. That was the green sheet averages for the start of that's the green sheet averages for the start of the season.
And it's just part look as to if they're free or if they want to come and people, if you pay on time and it's a good track, people will generally say yes. So there is something going there.
Actually, I'd better not put this too close, had I? Because there's little crosses and little ticks all the way down that page.
My riders that you wanted. I was asked to ask this actually. What you said when you took over Birmingham, you had a 3-year plan starting last year. Has that changed? Like, is that a fresh from it? Because you said you'd come up with a new game plan. Is that kind of a start afresh now and into the future, or is it still from last year?
It's being modified as we go along.
Yeah.
It's, as I say, the team behind the scenes has changed. The different workloads that people are doing have changed. In actual fact, we should be releasing in the next week, hopefully the next week, the actual positions of all the directors. All the directors are being named in a position, and we should be releasing that in the next week or so. No, it's evolving all the time. Things are changing all the time. They have to in Speedway. Nothing stops stationary in Speedway. It's evolving all the time, not always for the better.
It's just you've got to evaluate, life changes on the daily. Speedway sort of as people's situations change or something comes up.
The same injuries change by the day. We never know what's around the corner.
I work quite close with Steph, and you signed him as an asset this season, which I was really happy about. How did that kind of come about?
We decided it was a good idea to firm our commitment to him. And nothing really further than that. You have to have a certain value of assets. He fitted in nicely. Nothing more than that really on Steph.
And I think he's a little bit frustrated at the minute. I know he was really annoyed last night, and it's like, as a promotion what he can do from last season, and there's when hopefully when it comes good, it'll come good. But I know he was very, very frustrated last night.
Well, he does get frustrated, and it's not surprising. I mean, after his accident, Baby James came over, and he was lying there, and then we got up and we started to walk back across the centre green. There's just me, Steph, and Baby James, and Baby James had hurt his hand on that previous race. And I said, "How are you feeling now, James?" He said, "Well, my back's hurting, my legs hurting, my arms are hurting, my hands hurting." And Steph smiled and said, "I feel like that all the time." He got a big smile on his face when he said it. But look at the way he was going last night.
He was the only one that looked like potentially beating Ryan Douglas all night.
Yeah, he was on fire. Some of the time last night, he really was, and that showed to me that he was settling into that new track.
Yes.
Imagine if when he had his moments last night. Imagine if he was like that all the time. And he's capable of it, and he's he will stop falling off.
We hope.
Yeah, he will. I'm sure he will, as long as other people don't get in his way.
Like Jake Allen last night.
I don't think we better go back to that one, had we?
So
a certain Scunthorpe supporter said he wasn't really with it because he'd had too much to drink by that stage, so perhaps he didn't see it.
No, we're not used to this winning away, so as soon as we go away, we just get the crates in, and it makes it that much more bearable, to be honest.
I know, that's what makes it more annoying for us, I think, as well. Thinking, well, bloody hell, we should have beat Scunthorpe.
So, to be fair, in hindsight, me and my dad, we was both sort of saying, to be fair, you guys probably should have beat us, but it's just lady luck, isn't it, on the night?
Well, again, it's bad luck Brummies.
And the flaming referee last night. I'm sorry, Steph should not have been excluded from Heat 14.
Yeah. Well, as I say, I'll reserve judgment on that until I've looked back on the replay, because I didn't. You were there out there on the centre green, and I wasn't, and I won't comment without seeing the actual replay.
He was very lucky not to get hit by another rider.
Yes, I thought that as well. I did see that. Yeah.
To be fair, Ruth, there's to say, so you actually make a decent point there with refs, because I'd be interested, obviously, to get Nigel's thoughts, because we've got so many inconsistent refs in Speedway at the minute. I mean, we had that one when you guys come up to Scunthorpe last time, I believe it was. We had the
Nick Morris.
Sedgy and Simon incident, and Nick Morris. Even we didn't quite get them ones as funny people.
The starting marshals didn't. I mean, they shrugged the shoulders, didn't they? They didn't know what had gone on. I mean, the feedback that we got in the pits was that Nick had been disobeying the referees and starting marshals' instructions. And again, I didn't see it properly, but they didn't see anything from the pits. There seemed to be nothing wrong whatsoever. And all the track staff, but what's going on? What? And if you listen to the streaming, they actually said,
I'm on that, by the way.
What's he put the red lights on for? The commentators actually said, why has he put the red lights on? They didn't know, are they in the wrong positions? And so nobody could really believe that. And looking back on the streaming, he didn't do a thing wrong.
I actually saw Simon Lambert's comment on your post about the Sedgy and him incident as well, and it was like, what was your view on that one as well? Because Si obviously had his opinion. I thought that he went down a bit easy. I don't think there was any contact in it, but that was just me.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of
Panel
peculiar things.
disagree.
I mean, it'll be interesting when the transponders actually do come to force. I mean, I know there's not that many races that are decided on the line, but it will make a difference to that. And streaming, as I said last night, the referee did look back at the streaming of Steph's incident before he made a decision. You know, it was 50-50, but after watching the streaming played back, he did decide that it was Steph should be excluded. I'll have a look back. I should have a look back later tonight, probably about 2 o'clock in the morning, and see what's going on.
You
I just say this, guys, but I'd better make that phone call to Tony Mole because he's going to be wondering where I am.
Yeah.
It's all right. Thank you for joining us, Nigel. We appreciate it.
No, anytime. Yeah, we've been on 6 weeks. I'll come on again if you want to.
And hopefully we'll be down at Scunthorpe tomorrow watching the Brummies get a win.
Oh, and at Redcar on
And a red car on Saturday, yeah. Let's hope the weather plays ball. We'll get Dan eating a few cans of beans and blow all the rain away.
I think if they do go ahead, they should both be thoroughly entertaining, I think.
Yeah.
And let's hope they're a little bit warmer than the nights have been as well.
Whoa, we don't do warm in Scunny.
To be honest, we don't do it in Perry Barr either.
Even in the height of July and August, where everybody else gets 40 degrees, we get -5.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Cheers, Nigel.
It did amaze me on the last meeting that it didn't rain. As I was going up the motorway, I thought, oh, there's no rain yet. And then just as I turned off the motorway to turn right, sort of thing, all in front was just black sky. Oh, that's going to come down. And it absolutely amazed me when I arrived at the stadium and there'd been no rain. It absolutely amazed me.
And it's Scunny generally call off early, so you're hoping you don't get that phone call before sort of 9 and 10 and you can actually start making your way down.
Well, as I say, we'll be going up there anyway.
Mm.
Because of Redcar the following day.
Yeah.
The hotel's booked.
And it will help with the team bond, get the boys all together, do something as a team. And
Yeah, the drinking session.
And there's not quite, for me, there's not enough of that in Speedway. There's because everyone is so busy. They just turn up. It's nice to have a chance to get everybody down overnight and bond.
Yeah. That's one thing I'm pleased at, that the team is starting to bond quite well.
Mm.
And I say will help tomorrow night as well.
Yeah. We better let you go and phone Tony Mole or he'll be in bed.
Yes. Yeah, he'll be waiting for me.
Cheers, Nigel.
Thank you for coming on, mate. We appreciate that.
No problem at all. I'll catch you all soon.
See you later.
Cheers, mate. See you later.
Matching.
Thanks, everybody. That was episode 17 of Drop the Clutch. We thank Nigel for coming on and chatting to us today. Is there anything you pair want to say to just wrap the episode up?
Fat lives matter.
Cheers for watching, guys. Obviously, we appreciate all your views. So I hope you enjoyed the episode that you've just watched. And for me, it's a very good night.
I can't beat that, so I'm just going to not try.
Thanks for listening, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.